morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson with 13 News Now. Here's your tropics update as of Sunday, October the 6th at 8 a.m. And we are tracking 4 different areas of the tropics. One that is set to be a tropical wave off of the coast of Africa that has a 30% chance of development over the next week or so. But there are 3 named storms. We have Kirk, Leslie, and Milton. And all eyes are on Milton as it's forecast to rapidly intensify into a major hurricane during the middle of the week. Right now, we are tracking this area. This is Milton, right in the parts of the extreme western Gulf of Mexico. Right now, as you see, Milton's barely moving, just soaking up all of that energy from the warm waters of the Gulf. Right now, as of 8 a.m., again on Sunday, October the 6th, Milton has sustained winds of 60 miles per hour, gusts up to 65. Forecast to become a hurricane no later than Monday morning, and then a major hurricane no later than Wednesday morning. Now, the problem is it's set to make landfall somewhere around the western coast of Florida, and we are watching for those impacts as it does so. So let's take those spaghetti models, and there's 2 scenarios. They're almost split in half. Half of the models say this system turns to the north and goes north of Tampa Bay. The others say that this system goes south of Tampa Bay, getting closer to areas like Fort Myers, and then making its way through Florida. Now, this will give us 2 completely different outcomes if this happens. Let's take you through the American models and the European models for that model comparison. Now, the American models in the yellow, European in red. As you see, very, very good agreement when it comes to the placement of what Milton or where Milton will be by Tuesday. But then the American model says this system goes right near Tampa Bay, making its center or its landfall right near the bay. If this happens, scenario number 1, this would push in a lot of that water into the bay where we could see some storm surge predictions anywhere from 10 to possibly 15 feet, which is a life-threatening storm surge in that situation. If the European model plays out and the center of Milton goes south of Tampa Bay, that'll actually help to push some of the water out of the bay, which is a best-case scenario for Tampa Bay. Obviously, not so much as you're talking in places like Fort Myers. So even 100 to 200 miles of distance between these 2 scenarios can make all the difference in terms of where the highest and worst case scenarios will be when it comes to landfall around that western coast of Florida, whether that's the highest impacts in Tampa or the highest impacts in places like Fort Myers. So we are keeping a very close eye on it, but both models show that Milton will make its way out to sea by Thursday into Friday, continuing its trek into parts of the Atlantic. So what are the impacts regardless of whether we see Milton making landfall near Tampa Bay or north or south of Tampa Bay? Well, we're talking hurricane force winds, where if this plays out and Milton makes landfall as a Cat 3 hurricane, we're talking major hurricane force winds, life-threatening storm surge, and then heavy rainfall that can lead to flash flooding. Now, some models predict that we could see in places like Florida up to half a foot, even higher, of rainfall with this. So flash flooding is also possible as that system makes its way through the Florida peninsula. Now, let's talk about the 2 other areas of the tropics. We have Kirk, we have Leslie. We've already talked about that area, possible development that will be a tropical wave or a wave emerging off of the coast of Africa. Now, Leslie is a Cat 1 hurricane. It gained a little bit of strength overnight. Right now, we are talking sustained winds of 85 miles per hour, gust up to 105. The Hurricane Center believes this system will stay a hurricane through tonight, but then weaken as it gets into Tuesday in the middle of the work week, basically going back down to that tropical storm strength, but maintaining that tropical storm strength from Tuesday through the end of the week. Thankfully, Leslie, staying well away from any land that we do have. That's the good news. Now, Kirk is just a very big storm. So we're feeling the swells here in parts of the eastern U.S. where we are feeling that higher rip current risk in place. But Kirk will make its turn to the east and head towards Europe at this point. Now, Kirk was a major hurricane, now downgraded to a Cat 2 hurricane as of 5 a.m. this morning, with sustained winds of 105 miles per hour, gusts up to 125. But the impacts of Kirk could be felt in places like Paris. So something to keep in mind. But here in the mid-Atlantic and a part of the eastern coast of the U.S., Kirk's high swells have led to moderate to high rip current risk. And that's in place again for your Sunday. So if you're heading out to the beaches this weekend, be very careful of that. For all other tropics updates, head to 13newsnow.com. For 13 News Now, I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson.